So, welcome everybody. I hope you're ready to listen. My name is Dan Tornqvist. I'm working for Graco, and I want to talk to you today about onboard maintenance. I take the first slide. Yeah, so onboard maintenance is everything that you have on board the ship. So every one of you are obliged to every 5th year do dry docking and do repair outside the ship. But for the on board, maybe there are tanks and so on, larger jobs, you do that in the same time. But then you have the sort of on board, and mostly we are talking about spot repair. And this is what this presentation is about, and the various tools that are available. And I want to present to you an additional tool to use for onboard maintenance. The tools that you use today is probably hand tool, it's needle scaler, power tool like a grinder, some kind. Then you have the dry abrasive blasting or dry blasting with grit. And then you have the high pressure water or ultra high pressure or water jetting. So these are the tools that you have available. On each, when we talk about onboard maintenance, there are some challenges that to look after. And of course, onboard maintenance is mostly made by the crew compared to when you dry dock, where you have a separate third-party contractor doing the job for you. So these are, then health issues are important for you, and the safety on board. You need, when you do a surface preparation, you need to take care of the surface quality and also the edge, which means the edge is the treated surface compared to the surface around it, where you have not done the treatment. The tool that you're using has to be easy of use, because these are not maybe professional trained people, so it has to be understandable, easy to use. And then the maintenance. I mean, if the tool is too complicated and too fragile, so you need heavy maintenance on it. I mean, your lead time and so on for that is not ideal. When you talk about health issues, for example, a mechanical tool or any grinder, there are vibrations. So I guess all of you know that working with that 8 hours in a row creates nerve damages and so on. If you do dry blasting, you have plenty of dust going around. High pressure with water, we talk about maybe you start with 500 bar. 500 bar is a lethal weapon, and that is very dangerous. So any crew injuries, whatever, is something that you need to look after. And you also need to look after specific protective wear to use when you use your equipment. If we come to the surface preparation, I mean, the whole point of doing a surface preparation is to prepare, so when you paint with your new paint, you repaint it, that the paint is adhesive, that it sticks to the surface, and also that rust doesn't come up really, really quickly again. And that is all based on that the edges around the treated surface are not too sharp or lifted up, because then you'll have rust around that, even though your surface where you actually painted is good, you will have rust around it really quickly. Profile, as you know, when you treat a surface, you need to have a good profile for the material to get to stick to the surface. When you use a grinder, I mean, the surface profile will be very uneven, very deep or very shallow. You cannot control that with a tool like that. Then it's also important that you have a chemically clean surface, mainly salt. If you dry blast or use a mechanical tool and take a salt example on that surface, 100% it will be too salty. And there is an upper limit for the material manufacturer for your paint, how much salt or chemical unclean it could be before it sticks to the surface. So these are things you need to think about. We talked about the how advanced and how complicated a tool should be. I mean, you have change of crew. We said, as I said, this job is made by the crew. If it's too complicated, naturally it's hard for the crew to, when you change, maybe one crew is knowing the tool, the other one doesn't. Maintenance. As for example, high pressure water, 500 bar, even if you used 1000 bar, these are fragile equipment just because of the pressure. It breaks down and you have a need for spare parts all the time. And that could mean long lead time, and that means downtime for your work. So now I build a case for you, your current situation. I want you now to show you a video. Then I have to go out, put on the video and share that, and then come back again. So hope this works. So I hope that really didn't work that well. I got lots of disturbance there. So I hope you're back on the presentation again. So yeah, that was a test, and it was good if it was working. We can share that video afterwards. It's on YouTube, so it's very easy for you to see it. So let's take that later. So what we want to present to you is the EcoQuip model EQP. And basically it's similar to dry blasting, where we use abrasive media. And blasting with abrasive media is the absolute best way to treat a metal surface. And the difference that we have is that we pressurize the pot with water, and the water is pressed into the compressed air, which goes out into the blasting hose. By doing that, we reduce almost every dust. So when you blast, you're very local. On top of it, we reduce the amount of media, the blasting grit using. So remember, when you dry blast, you use approximately 300 kilos per hour. We use like 75 kilos per hour, which means you have much less media to take care of. But the result is the same as the dry blasting. Compared to water blasting or jetting, is that we are creating a profile. Because if you only use water, you cannot change or create a profile on a metal surface. And remember, this is one of the things that get the paint to stick to the surface. You need a profile. Also, the surrounding areas, we call it a feathering edge. There has to be a smooth transition between the untouched area and the blasted area, so that you don't get rust around that area. Compared to a vibration tool, to a mechanical tool, we are faster. We also do a better job with creating a much more even and a good profile. Also, the feathering edge with a mechanical tool becomes very sharp, and you don't want that. So, how it works? As I said, we use compressed air, which you get from your service compressor on board. Naturally, the more air you give to the unit, the more powerful it gets. I don't want to go into technical specifics. That's for after, I believe. But we are pretty wide in that area. So we also need constant flow of water, because that is what you pressurize the pot with. The water and abrasive media are mixed into the pot and goes into the compressed air. And the grit is then surrounded with water when it hits the surface. You get a heavier grit, more powerful impact, and also a wider spread onto it, which means it also helps to create this smothering, the feathering edge around it. So this is EQP. This is something that we wanted to show in the video as well, but it's very small and portable, so you can move it around on the ship. ATEX Approved means if you are an oil and gas or have some kind of EX or ATEX needed on board, you can put this unit anywhere on board. So it's ATEX Approved for that. With this equipment, remember, you do a proper surface preparation. The same surface preparation you do when you dry dock on the outside, which is supposed to last you for 5 years. We do the same. It's environmentally friendly, and it has a limited health risk. And with everything, and also we are talking about cost savings here. So small and portable, as I said, it's easy to move around. It's nothing that you lift up by your own hands, but with the wheels, you can get around everywhere on the ship. This is the EX. There are two parts of it. One is the ATEX Approved. That means that you can put the unit and start it up. But then the next thing is that what we have done is that we went also to a third-party company called Gexcon to measure the temperature of when the grit hits the surface, because you have something called hot spark and cold spark. For example, on oil platforms, you cannot use a hot spark on an oil platform because then you're not ATEX anymore. ATEX is actually only regulating the unit, but this is what we are talking about. Can you actually use the unit? So, for example, if you have an equipment like dry blasting, I mean, you can put the equipment on board, but what is the temperature of the spark that you're creating when you're blasting? That is the question. We have made the tests, and we have documentation that, yes, we can use it in a zone 1 for ATEX. This is what I'm talking about, the feathering edge. You have the spotted, the blasted surface, and then you have the layers over to the untouched surface. So this is important when you paint. That and with blasting, with the media, and also specifically with our unit, when we mix water into it, we get this feathering edge, which basically gives you a longer time before it starts to rust again. If it gives you more time, basically. Environmental friendly. If you dry blast, you will use like between 200 and 300 kilos of blasting grit per hour. It will go everywhere with the dust. It's mixed with the material, so you have a hard time cleaning up afterwards. I would say also, for example, if you use water, 500 bar water, you have like 20 liters of water coming out. Getting away the paint. And remember, it's actually the paint that are toxic, and you have to take care of everything. If you go by the book, it's quite complicated. We use, in terms of water, 0.5 to 1 liter per minute. So we are very local where we go and blast. Limited health risks. We are using, maximum 10 bar. That's a theoretical number. Mostly you blast at 6 bar or maybe 7 bar. And it's basically the compressed air that is the one that is you have to watch out for. But compared to 500 bar, it's limited. And also the pressure pot that we have, it's not really a pressure pot, because if you get the leakage, you only have water coming out. So there is no danger there as well. And also compared with the mechanical tools, we don't have the vibration. You can stand and blast if you can for 8 hours without that kind of health risks. Costs. It's not only the speed you do when you do a maintenance. If you use 500 bar water, fine, you can do a surface, but how good is it? How is the profile? How is the feathering edge? How soon will it start to re-rust again? Worst case scenario, 3 weeks, you have a re-rust around the area. And then you're on in a moment 22. You do it over and over and over again. We are talking about a solution where you have a 5-year window with the same kind of window you do when you dry dock. This is the whole purpose of it. So it's not only the speed, how you do it, it's also how well you do it and how less problems you have with non-adhesive paint that doesn't stick to the surface because the job was not really good, well done. So these are things to think about. This is a way that what we do is that we do the blasting and the surface preparation in the correct way. Also, remember the water, 500 bar water, you use 20 liters of fresh water, which is something that you should take care of. We use 0.5 to 1 liter per minute in fresh water. So this is a success story we have internally from a ship owner, European ship owner. This is an oil and gas ship. So they had a lot of frustrations with doing maintenance on board. And they bought a test unit first with the EcoQuip, and they found out that it works for them for the spot repair. And they fill in two 25-liter bags, and they blast for 35-40 minutes, and then they refill again. And the maintenance of the unit, everything, the awareness of the unit is out from the blast hose. This is the wear parts in it. So this is what I thought was very good compared to the equipment that I used before. So with this information, I wanted to wake your interest of it. There is technical discussions. How much air do you have on board, and so on. I don't think this is the forum to discuss that. Also, how more technically how it works and so on. This is why we want you to contact us. Is this something that sounds interesting for you? Take a picture of this slide, or we will. I will take help to give you the contact info. Louis de Hillerin, he's the sales manager for Marine, and please contact him. Thank you. I'm unsure if we can take questions and chat and so on. I've been told that that could be possible. So that is something that hopefully we can do. Or you can just contact Louis, as I say, and have a discussion more privately or something. So thank you so much for listening. And yeah, thank you.